Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, authorities are warning lives are at risk if travellers are ill-prepared for all conditions when they leave for a bushwalk. It has been one of the busiest weeks experienced by Tasmania's rescue helicopter crews, dispatched multiple times a day as the state remains in the midst of a severe cold snap.
Flying above the remote wilderness, rescue crews search for a missing woman. This was Monday, battling the elements, hovering above Lake St Clair. This is the moment they finally spotted her.
I got her, man. 11 o'clock. Almost our level, and 300 metres.
Just a speck in the snow, she waits before she's winched to safety.
3, 2, 1, and hold.
Now safe after a delicate operation.
Bringing the patient in the door.
A cold snap bringing adverse weather conditions across Tasmania. Brian Powell spending his first shift as a police helicopter crew member, responding to several calls for help.
Monday's winching and hover entries were pretty much my whole 8-week training rolled into one day.
The helicopter spending more than 6 hours in the air that day alone, responding to several separate rescues. After 16 years on the job, Matthew Drum says it was a far busier day than most.
It'd be fair to say that multiple jobs in a single day are fairly rare.
I was expecting to go up and do an easy landing at one of the huts and maybe a transport to a hospital. And it turned into the 3 rescues.
Reminding bushwalkers to be prepared.
Be prepared for your walk, be prepared for adverse conditions. Take a registered PLB, and if you can, register your trip with the AMSA so that we know who's in your group, where you're intending to go.
Weather can change so quickly in Tasmania, and we recommend for people to, even in the middle of summer, to take a jumper, and it's a good idea to have a beanie and a pair of gloves as well. You never know when the weather's going to turn.
And the State Emergency Service has warned there's more damaging winds to come. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
A Rosebery predator who abducted and assaulted a 5-year-old girl, sparking a major police manhunt, won't learn his fate until at least next month. 42-year-old Cecil Morris Mabb has previously pleaded guilty to the chilling January attack at the Montague campground near Smithton. Today, the prosecution said it wanted more time to further explore leads that may affect Mabb's sentence. He'll face court again later this month. Housing has become the latest election battleground, with Labor promising to build an extra 2,000 homes if it's backed by voters. But one building job is dominating the debate: the delayed replacements for the Spirit of Tasmania ships.
2.5 weeks into a snap election, slip-ups are bound to happen. Bouncing in with cash to expand a Bridgewater gym.
Having more space will actually enable us to offer more opportunities as well.
The Liberals are still defending a backflip on the state's biggest project, replacing the Spirit of Tasmania vessels.
We're not back at square one. Now, the circumstance when I paused the decision in the middle of last year was completely different.
Last year, the government ditched its deal with Finnish shipbuilder RMC. The hope was to build the boats in Australia. With that option ruled out, the government is going back to the company.
We'll be instructing TT Line to sign those contracts.
The first vessel is expected in Tasmania by 2023. Millions more were also promised by the Premier for fast-track upgrades at ports in Burnie and Devonport.
In terms of Devonport, it is ready to rock and roll.
Labor's real enemy today, the weather.
Rain, hail or shine, we'll campaign for you.
Arguing the Liberals' housing plan is stuck in the mud.
The waiting list for public housing has blown out by 75%.
Rebecca White's solution:
an additional $195.7 million to construct 2,000 more public houses over the next 6 years.
That number on top of the homes already promised by the Liberals. She says 1,200 jobs would be created.
But also help 4,600 Tasmanians get a roof over their head.
Houses which could be paid for by big business, say the Greens. Today it revealed its policy of heavy taxes for heavy industry, like mining and fish farming.
Over the course of the next 4 years, we could have an extra $1.2 billion in our coffers for hospitals, schools and new homes.
And Sue Hickey had a blunt message for voters.
I'm asking the people to consider minority government with some really strong independence to hold these buggers to account.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
And viewers can join us tomorrow afternoon for the first leaders' debate of the election campaign with Peter Gutwin and Rebecca White. The battle of ideas and visions for the future kicks off from 12:30 in Hobart. You can catch it live exclusively on the 7 Tasmania News Facebook page. As the mercury drops, Tasmanians are being encouraged to think of those without a roof over their heads and sign up for this year's CEO Sleep Out. The annual event aims to raise funds and awareness of the state's housing crisis, with the homelessness rate increasing by 20% in just 15 years.
We have a number of women out there who have real difficulties explaining to their children and answering questions to their children. Mum, why are we sleeping in a car tonight again?
Going through the night outdoors, exposed, feeling vulnerable, just provided a small taste of what it's like for so many people in our community every day.
Organisers are hoping to raise around $200,000. To some breaking news first, motorists are being advised to avoid the Midland Highway heading into Launceston. Police are responding to a 2-vehicle crash in the northbound lanes near the caravan park. Both lanes are blocked. Injuries are not known at this stage. Officers are diverting traffic via the Prospect Vale slip lane and onto the Kings Meadows connector. Well, those wanting to become physiotherapists will soon be able to study it in Tasmania, with UTAS announcing it will offer a master's degree from next year. The new course hopes to end a brain drain of young Tasmanians who are forced to move interstate.
The data that we do have would suggest every year probably 90 students would leave the state to do physiotherapy or a range of other allied health courses.
When you travel interstate to do physiotherapy, a lot of people don't come back. So out of the proportion of my cohort who travelled, I think there was only 3 of us who were back in Tassie.
The university is also working towards launching occupational therapy and speech pathology courses next year.
Tasmanian basketball fans have been treated to a thriller, with last night's NBL action going into overtime. The league's most valuable player, Bryce Cotton, lived up to his title, saving the Perth Wildcats from a huge upset. After 16 years in the NBL wilderness, it was game on.
And we are underway at the Silverdome.
And our Trans-Tasman tenants came to play, nailing the smoke-shooting three-pointers. For Bryce Cotton and the Wildcats, nothing was going to plan.
Cotton unsuccessful again.
And when the in-form John Mooney hobbled off, a serious upset was on the cards.
Abercrombie gets inside. Tough move, finishes it up on the left.
Tom Abercrombie's 350th match was coming together like a dream, but a resurgent Perth proved why they're the reigning champs.
Cotton starting to get really productive in this last quarter. High off the glass.
And in the dying moments, Cotton finally hit the 3 when it mattered.
Cotton's got 3. Jack's up the 3.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, Jack?
There's only 1.
No, he's a freak.
He's on another level.
As we said.
How has he done it again?
A thriller in Launceston, Perth running over the Kiwis in overtime to win by 6. A great warm-up for Tassie's NBL team, which today signed its first name. Teenager Sire Deans is on board as a development player.
I think it's really special for me, but also my family and everyone who's helped me.
He embodies everything that we're looking for again in players. Just a smart kid, very humble. I think he's got a great future ahead of him. He still has college ahead of him possibly.
And days out from the NBL 1 season, former Tornadoes and Huskies player Taylor Roberts has signed with the Hobart Chargers.
She's a WNBL Rookie of the Year. She's played at the AIS. She's played right across the country, junior Australian team. So for her, I really think she can be the best player in her position in the competition.
The Chargers and the Tawns open their seasons at Kingborough on Saturday. Tasmanian fast bowler Jackson Bird's county championship season is over before it began. The 34-year-old won't join Lancashire this year after being diagnosed with a bulging disc. The former Test bowler has been advised to rest for 4 weeks. Bird was expected to play 6 matches for the Red Rose. It's disappointing news for him coming weeks after he took a career best 7 for 18 in the Sheffield Shield. Supercars teams continue to make their way across Bass Strait after a COVID outbreak left a chunk of the competition stuck in Queensland. The Shell V-Power racing team is among the latest to arrive ahead of the weekend's racing.
I do love going down to Tasmania. I think it's got a real old school feel about it. You know, you can feel the history everywhere you go.
Will Davison is sitting 6th in the championship standings. Tasmania's boys team has come from 3 goals down to win a spot in the final of the Under-15 Hockey Championships in Bathurst. Goals from Angus McMullen, Reece Wilkinson and Oscar Sproul saw Tasmania regain the lead in today's semi before Sam Granfield put the side's 5th goal away to seal a sensational win. The decider is being played tomorrow. Another Tasmanian has claimed gold at the National Track and Field Championships. Jessica Smith set the pace for all but one lap in the under-15s 2,000 metre steeplechase, storming home to claim first place. From the Northern Suburbs Athletics Club in Hobart, 13-year-old Smith has only been doing the event for 3 months. The club is also celebrating a silver medalist, Michaela Ireland, in the under-16s race straight after. And the Tasmanian football community is mourning Graham Gypsy Lee, who has died aged 81. The Tasmanian Football Hall of Famer started his career at Wynyard before being recruited by St Kilda. He played alongside another legend, Darryl Baldock, developing a strong friendship.
I know he used to say wherever there was a footy bouncing when he was a kid over in the paddocks or kids next door, he was always there, you know, but the trouble is, once Doc got there, they never got much use of the footy because Doc had it all the time. You know, he was just one of those players.
His son Stephen Lee says Gypsy never lost his love for the game.
Throughout the footy community, as with his general life, he'd be remembered as someone that actually got on with everyone and was a good bloke and had high principles. And I guess of all the things, he'd like to be remembered for that.
Lee later played for Launceston, where he was named in the club's Team of the Century, and was captain coach of East Devonport's 1968 Premiership team. Certainly sad news for those clubs and his family.
Good evening. Friendly beaches on top again today with 20 degrees. Hobart, Launceston and Devonport 19. Burnie a high of 17. Flinders Island 19 today after our thermometer reader slept in and forgot to check for the overnight low. Tomorrow, St Helens, Grove and Bushy Park 18. King Island, Wynyard, Low Head and Strawn 17 degrees. Cloud covered most of Tasmania today with the heavier cloud over the west. You can see the pattern there, very cold looking cloud. A cloud band extends from northern WA across South Australia and New South Wales. Colder air, as we mentioned, is across the Bight and over our region. Tomorrow a cold front crosses Tasmania during the morning. A ridge of high pressure lies over southern WA and central Australia. Winds west to southwesterly, 20 to 30 knots generally, but up to 35 knots over the south. Swells up to 6.5 metres in southern waters. A gale warning's there too from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters. We also have a warning to sheep graziers for the Midlands, East Coast, South East and Upper Derwent Valley. Hobart a high of 15 with showers easing later. Showery for Cygnet 14, the top 14 also for New Norfolk. Launceston, morning showers clearing, 17 the top, 16 for Devonport, a shower or two for Campbelltown, 15 the high, 16 for Burnie with showers, Strawn 14 and Smithton 16 degrees. For St Helens tomorrow a high of 18 and partly cloudy, a morning shower from Swansea, 17, 16 the top for Fingal. On Friday, fine and partly cloudy, apart from a light shower over the west and far south. Possible showers through Bass Strait and the west on Saturday, otherwise fine. And on Sunday, showers again over King Island and Flinders Island, along with the west coast. Sunny and 24 in Perth, showers in Adelaide and Melbourne. Sunny weather forecast for Canberra and Sydney tomorrow, along with Brisbane with 28 there. Partly cloudy in Hobart, it's 14 right now, 13 in Launceston. Devonport mostly clear and 13 degrees. Kim, I'll hang around. I'll be back later with the all-important weather update.
Indeed you will be. Thank you very much, Murph. And that is all we have time for tonight. Thanks for your company. See you later. Good night.